Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Cam. Today I am going to do an emergency repotting for one of my Cymbidium. The reason why I repot this today is because when my mom brought it indoor for Lunar New Year, there was some kind of rot going on. The flower spike also rotted it, and the leaves are rotted from the base, not from the tip. It tells me that this orchid has some problem, and since the flower has already done because of the rot at the stem, so I'm just gonna go ahead and repot this today with you guys and show you guys what the problems are and how I am gonna deal with it. Okay, so let me take this plant up for you guys to see. This is a pendulous kind of Cymbidium. This is the flower. That's what it looks like. It was no ID. As you can see, it's rotted from the base. Maybe because this is too pot bounded. I was supposed to repot to a bigger pot, but I didn't because my mom didn't like to split this plant. So now we have this major problem. Some of the bulbs had rotted it, I can tell. So let's go ahead and repot this. I know in the past this used to have some kind of scales on it, but it wasn't a big problem. If you guys could see it, there was some scale. I'm not sure if they're still alive. I don't think they are. They look like dead to me. So let's take this guy out of the pot and see what is the problem. How are we gonna address the issues? First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my pruner here. I'm just gonna chop up the spike. I'll show you what happened. So at the base of the spike, you guys see there is some kind of rot. Even though the tip of the spike or the far end of the spike is pretty good, but this right here rotted it. I think there's some kind of ventilation issues here, given the kind of pot that I'm using. I think there is some kind of a rot and some kind of moisture that got trapped in between right there. So what I do is, unfortunately, it's a nice, beautiful flower. I don't have an ID for this, so if you guys know the name of this orchid, please leave the comment below. Now I see that most of the rot happened on this side, which is where most of the leaves were initially. This side, there was absolutely no rot. This stem, I'm going to cut it out for you to see. This stem has no rot at all. You see, there's no rot in this stem. So this flower spike here, no rot here. And also I don't see any leaf rotting on this side. So it tells me that only one side of the plant has issues. The other side is perfectly safe. So let's go ahead and unpot this. The way you unpot Cymbidium, you do have to knock the pot on the side a little bit to loosen up the media and the root tensions. This is probably very root bounded orchid. Okay, let's see if we can take this thing out. All right, I think we could. Okay. So as you can see here, I think on this side there was a heavy infestation of scale. I can see some scales here. So I would definitely need to take a good care of this. Media kind of old. It's mushy now. You can see. I could just crush this with my fingers. So it's time to repot anyway. I think I repotted this maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. Not, I don't remember. Since it has no ID, I don't have a tag for it, so I don't have a date exactly when I repotted this orchid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna gently remove all this old media here. I should have wear gloves, but I'm the kind of guy that doesn't really like to wear gloves that often. Kind of bothers me. I know my hand's gonna get dirty, but that's okay. This little guy here is not as root bound as I thought. In the past, when I repot this orchid, I have to literally chop half of the roots off, as in cut in half. But this time it's okay. It's not as bad. That means this orchid probably repotted about a couple years ago, so it's not as root bounded. I see new growth. It's a good sign. You want to be careful with the new growth. You don't want to damage it, because that will be your new bloom for next year. I know a lot of you guys say that this is not an ideal time to repot this orchid. I understand. It's not springtime yet. Unfortunately though, today I don't have any insecticide to spray down the scale that I'm seeing here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna spray with what I have, and I will most likely need to buy some kind of insecticide to get rid of the scale that I have here. I could also soak this in soapy water, but let me try my method first to see if it helps. If it doesn't, definitely go with the heavy duty one, the systematic treatment, which oftentimes I don't like to use. I told you already, I don't like to use chemicals in my orchid or my garden, but in this case, I might have to because of the infestation that I have with these scales. Some of the new growth has rotted it, so I think there's a moisture problem as well. While at it, remove all the dead material, remove as much as I can. The reason for that, if you have scales, scales like to hide under the leaves. Any kind of critters, they always like to hide under that leaves, and you want to remove as much as possible. This bulb is dead, so I'm just gonna chuck it out. So you see, there's some kind of rot going on, and definitely not a good sign. The good news is I caught this early, so it wasn't as bad. You see, there's definitely some kind of rot going on here. I don't usually have rot in my Cymbidium because I grow outdoor. But guess what? I think what happened is the time that I had this infestations, my mom brought this indoor. And given that indoor, I don't have a good air circulation, this problem arises. If I grow this outdoor, I wouldn't have this problem. Given that this is indoor, yes, it's a major problem. A lot of the bulb has rotted it. What I'm gonna do is I am going to divide this plant into multiple smaller clumps. So let me go ahead and get rid of all this bulbs that are rotted it, that are no longer good. See, it's rotted it. So this is rotted it. This is also rotted too. You see the base rotted. I'm just gonna remove as much rotted material as possible and see what I have, what I'm left with after all this mess. And then I can go and see what I'm gonna do with this plant. I'm hoping it's not some kind of a black rot that I'm experiencing. This side is good. So since this side is pretty good, this side here is pretty bad. So I was just gonna make a cut in between the middle, cut this in half, cut in half here, and see what I have, what I'm playing with. Okay, so I'm getting my trusted knife. This is like a saw here that I can saw through easily. I just cut it in between the middle, right here. Now you see in the middle, it's kind of rotted from the middle too. I don't know. This is not looking good. But I think this part right here, it is safe. I don't see any rot in this particular clump right here. I do see some kind of scale infestation here. Scales are nasty little buggers. They can take down your plants really quick if you don't get it, if you don't catch it early. I'm just gonna remove all the dead leaves here. This might be a long video, so you guys want to skip this part, you could actually skip it and go to the part where I start repotting this. So it's pretty bad. If you guys are new to Cymbidium, Cymbidium like to have a very bright light. So if you grow your typical phals, you know how much it needs, how much light it needs. Cymbidium needs about 5 times brighter than your regular phals. I grow in SoCal, and this thing grows outdoor. It gets really bright sun. You want the leaf to be light green. If you have a dark green leaves, that means your Cymbidium do not get enough light. That's something that you need to address the issues. If your Cymbidium has not bloomed for you in a while, I suggest you check your light and check the leaves. If it's a little bit of green or a dark green, that means you need to move it to a brighter area. And don't worry, Cymbidium leaves can drop as the bulbs get old. That's why oftentimes you need to remove the old bulb, because when the bulb has no leaves, a lot of people think that it's ugly, aesthetic wise, right? It's kind of ugly. To me, it is fine with or without leaves. Most of my Cymbidium, I will still keep the old bulb, because the old pseudobulb still can provide energy to the plants. You want to remove as minimum as possible. Now what you can do is you can also do a back bulb propagations, as in take 1 or 2 bulbs out with no leaves on it and try to propagate that way. Takes a long time for you to see flower, maybe a few years, but it's a fun experiment. If you want to experiment it, by all means go for it. I'm not gonna go against it. I have done it in the past and it worked out well. It's a fun experiment. So I can see there's a lot of scales in here. I will probably need to run down to my local garden centers, pick up one of those systematics insecticide. So you see all my leaves here, it was heavily infested. You can see the scales here. So I was just gonna chop it off as I see it. Or I was just gonna remove it. Yeah, this one was infested with scale in the past too, when I used to grow indoor. This is why I don't grow indoors anymore. I grow them outdoor. Okay. So I think this clump here, I'll try to remove as much scales as possible. As I can see it, I'll just remove it. I would definitely need to get some systematic treatment for this. I done in the past where I treated and didn't have any scales for a while. I don't know, for some reason this particular one have a lot of scales. So you guys can see, hopefully you guys can see some of the scales here that I just removed. So this clump here, I think I'm good with this. I was just gonna put this on the side first. Now my next clump. And to divide Cymbidium, you need at least 3 to 5 pseudobulbs, healthy pseudobulbs. Okay, if you have 3 to 5, you are safe to remove and just divide that plant. So there's a natural division here because of the rod. This one is dead. Actually, you can do a back bulb propagations like this. I know it's a small bulb, but you can. This bulb is still firm, so you can actually back bulb this. I'm gonna put it on side first. Try it as an experiment. We'll see. These two bulbs, I'm just gonna remove it. Leave it here. In the past, this one gave me about. I think the best one I had was 18 spike. That's the best I have in this one, if I remember correctly. But now it's heavily infested. You see all the scales here? All that scale, you see it? So for sure, this is pretty bad. Get all that scale. Pretty bad. Just remove them as much as possible. Oh. So unfortunately, there's a natural division here. That just means that it's not good because there's only 2 bulbs here. Remember I told you you need minimum 3? I only have 2. And, you know, it is what it is. It's a natural division here. I see there's a new growth right here. Should be emerging in springtime. I will try not to damage this. And hopefully it will recover. All this need to remove because it's already rotted it. So I was just going to remove all of these leaves here. Might as well just cut them off. It was just going to act as a back bulb divisions for now. The fact that this has rotted it. Now, this particular one, I know the bulb is not looking that healthy. It's kind of brownish. I think it's too far gone too. But I don't give up an orchid just because it's too far gone. if it still have a chance to put out a new growth, I'll let it put out a new growth. So you see heavy infestations right here. So sorry, infestations. It's very heavy infestations. So a lot of scales in here. That is the reason why the rot started it. Well, guess this will go to my bark bulb propagation now, because it's only have 2 bulbs. And this all need to be removed. Pretty bad, but this also a good learning curve for all of us together, that when you have a problem, this is how you should be tackle and handle it. So because this is badly infected, I will just go ahead and remove all of this. I'm not even gonna attempt to keep any of the leaves. Once temperature warms up, I will know for sure I get some new growth. Therefore, I'm not going to worry about losing some of these bulbs here. I guess some crazy critter goes in here. But that's how things are naturally when you grow outdoor. You got a lot of critters. This is a pretty bad infections. So these scales spread pretty much across my entire plant now. This entire thing was covering up with scale. A lot of scales there. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna, you see all that? You see all that scale here? So even this entire stem, the entire leaves here, sorry, leaves has scale. So gone, gone, okay? It's just gone. I'm not gonna keep any of the leaves if there is scale. Scale is one of those things that pretty scary. It's very hard to get rid of because it has eggs and whatnot. This is the reason why I do need to get a systematic treatment for this. But currently, I don't have anything as far as treatment wise. I don't have any systematic insecticide. Now this clump here, what I'm gonna do is I should be able to make a divisions. Now you see all the old bulb here that rotted it, which expected it. The old one will rot it because it is going to send energy to the young bulb and try to save it. That's how plant works, is saving the new growth. When repotting an orchid like this size, it helps to get a knife with some teeth in it. Okay, this is a steak knife, very good with repotting Cymbidium. Why? Because you can basically just cut through everything. Same as this, any leaves that are black, just remove them all. I might leave this plant out for a day or two to let it dry, because I want to allow the rot, whatever rot that is in here, have a chance to dry out. I think these bulbs here are dead. So what I'm gonna do is, can I take this one now? Yeah, I think I can take this one right here. So these will be my back bulb propagations. And I know you guys love these roots, and you're probably gonna be like, hey, why you cut out all the roots? That's the thing with Cymbidium. They're very forgiving. They can live and regrow the roots once the new growth emerges. You see, there's a new growth here. So would I be worried about these roots? Not really, because I do have new growth, and the new growth is gonna send out a total brand new root system. Oftentimes, I like my plants to be in a gigantic size because I want to have as many bloom as possible. But as you can see here, big size plants call for a bigger problem now. Should I make my plants smaller in the future? Probably not. I'm just gonna keep it a size like this. I think this one is rotted brown, so yeah, pretty bad. Um, will I spray hydrogen peroxide on this plant? The answer is no. Okay. Why don't I spray hydrogen peroxide? Hydrogen peroxide is good to stop any kind of rot. Unfortunately though, hydrogen peroxide also kills the good bacteria and the good cells on the plant itself. This is the reason why I don't spray hydrogen peroxide. Instead, I spray with my own stuff. You'll see it later once I get this thing cleaned up. This is gone. I know, kind of sad to see these leaves go, but they're already done at the base of the bulb. So these leaves are, they're still good, don't get me wrong, but I don't like to see the black in it, so I'm just gonna remove it. It's personal preference. You don't have to, but because of this heavy infestations, I will just go ahead and remove them. I'll keep only the healthy ones, just as a preventive measure. I think that's, is that it? No, unfortunately. Okay. Yep. I just chuck it down to the last one. I'm just gonna keep this one, that's it. Everything else will go as it. So this might have been rotted too, but we'll see. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bark bulbs. This is not as healthy, so this gotta go. This gotta go. I think this gotta go too. I'm just gonna remove one more bulb. This one right here. So that's it. I'm just gonna keep it like this. This entire clump here, I think they're too far gone. I'm not even gonna bother with this clump right now. I'm just gonna see what I can save later. So this is what I left with. Giant plants. Now I only have 3 small divisions. Hopefully they'll survive. This is one of my favorite Cymbidium. The fact that it was a pendulous one. The flower hangs down, you can see, and you can see all these scales there. Pretty bad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run my finger down, get rid of all the scales, and I will be back. Let me rinse these orchids and I will be back. So I have cleaned the orchids and I will repot into this pot right here. This is a 1 gallon pot. I'm not gonna be able to pot into my other pot for the nature of the sake because it's been heavy infested and I don't want to reuse that pot. And what I'm gonna spray it is with this solution here. This is what people call OHN, oriental herbal nutrient. I will list the ingredient up on the screen. Basically, what it does is this is a I would call it boosters. Now I don't have a good measurement for this because this plant is being heavily infested. I want to use a little more stronger strength. This is 1,000 millimeters. The recommendation to use on this is 1 part of this per 1,000, and so I need to use about 1 milliliters. I don't have a measurement, so I'm just gonna pour what I think it is enough. It's okay to add a little bit more. I think this is about a little bit more. A little bit stronger is fine. It is not going to harm your orchids. The ingredients for this is angelica root, 2 parts, licorice, 1 part, ginger, 1 part, garlic, 1 part, cinnamon. Yes, cinnamon, 1 part. Okay. To make this, you can look it up on YouTube. Okay. It takes weeks to 3 months to make this entire batch. I made this about almost 2 years now. The longer you leave it, the more potent it gets. So this is a good way for me to spray my plants. This is also one of the solutions that I use to foliar feed my plant as well. This is to avoid having any diseases and whatnot. So this is an electric sprayer. I'm just gonna spray the entire plant. The leaves and everything. Hopefully that is enough to help the plants recover. I want to get these in the crevices as well in the leaves. I will get a systematic insecticide to get rid of all the scales that I have here. It's gonna take a few treatments in order to get rid of all the scales that I have here. This is a pretty bad infestation. Now you can see this solution actually gonna help the plants recover. You can spray these solutions when you transplant your orchid as well. There's a lot of nutrients. The way to make this solutions, if you guys want to know it, I will definitely post a video how to make this in the future if you guys want me to show you guys how to make it. Or if you want, look it up online. YouTube has plenty of videos. Now there's a lot of YouTube video out there that claims to be OHN or oriental nutrients that are not 100% OHN. They made with basically some garlic, some ginger, whatever the ingredient. I don't think that's the original OHN. The original one is licorice root. I mean angelica root, licorice, cinnamon, ginger, garlic. You can add more if you want, but that's just the basic 6 ingredients that you need to use. I think I'm lost. one of the divisions. I wonder if it's dropped down here. Yeah, it is dropped. So spraying it. Now today I'm just gonna pot it into 2 pots. I don't know, maybe 3. I'm not sure. I want to get every corner of the leaves. Having an electric sprayer actually works much better for this application. You could use a pump one, also works, but electric works much better, easier. This doesn't spray as fine mist as I hoped, like my other ones, but for the purpose of this, it's okay. All right, so that is it. You see my old media, I have perlite in there. Currently, I don't have any perlite, and I was just gonna use bark. Do I need to add some moss in there? Not this time. I'm not going to add some moss in there. So let's see. This is perfect. This will allow me to have a year of growth in this pot before I need to repot this. So this is fine. I'm just gonna add some in there. You could add perlite if you want, but I don't have any perlite at this moment. I'm not going to use perlite. Will I be used? Why I don't use sphagnum moss in it to help moistures? I don't use sphagnum moss because I can water these every day outdoor if I needed to. If you cannot water every day, you will need to add some moss in there to compensate for the moisture loss. Or if you live in a dry climate, I recommend use some kind of moss. I live in SoCal, and SoCal weather is very dry in the summertime, which means that I will need to water this daily if I pot it in bark itself, which is fine. Given the nature of this orchid right now, because it is heavily infested, I don't want to waste my moss just yet. Okay, because if you guys look it up lately, moss is expensive nowadays. And if I need to repot this in a later day, I could use these bark for landscaping, right? For my garden. It'll be fine. So the way to repot Cymbidium is you want to center the plant in the pot because the new growth is going to emerge all around the plant, and that's exactly what you need to do. Now, do I need to isolate this plant? Probably. I will probably isolate this plant. I'll put it in a different location outdoor where it's not going to be situated with my orchids here. I know I do this video in front of these orchids here, which is fine. I'm not going to complain. Do I want this in single pot or 2 pot? I think I'm just going to do it single pot, and the other one, I'll find in a pot for it. I know I make a mess here. I waste some of the bark because it's spilling outside. If you guys like this repotting video, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, also hit the bell notification for more future video. Also share with your friends, your orchid friends who are growing orchids. Okay guys, thanks for coming. We'll see you next video.